Lane Kiffin officially is an LSU Tiger. He announces today on social media that he is taking the job. Of course, this was all part of a crazy weekend, which it's all been crazy the last like 3 or 4 weeks or so. I was at the Egg Bowl, obviously, on Friday. Mississippi State fans are trolling Ole Miss fans walking into the stadium. They're playing the LSU fight song all throughout the day. You and I have been getting information the last few weeks. We felt like we knew it was coming from the standpoint of we felt confident that LSU was going to be the choice, but it came down to, of course, and Friday we got confirmation. Was it going to be LSU? Was it going to be Ole Miss? Lane Kiffin, obviously, a lot of conversations had, meetings with Keith Carter and the chancellor, and this goes in a Saturday night. And then, of course, we get today Lane Kiffin officially releasing his own statement. I think just after maybe it was just before, I think it was just after the team meeting was held at 1 o'clock. Either way, releases his own statement. I am going to LSU. I am taking this job. Does the whole interview with Marty Smith. And now we sit here. There, Lane Kiffin is in the boot. He is in Baton Rouge, already getting after it, hard at work, taking pictures with recruits and all. We've got signing day upcoming. But let's get straight to it and get to the point, Bear. And I know you already reacted to it. I'll let you get your piece out there. I've got some things I want to say, certainly, because I think there's a perception of how I feel about this hire, excuse me, on social media. I actually feel some other ways as well, some things I have not voiced. But Lane Kiffin, LSU, again, I've heard some of the things you've said, Bear, but initial reactions, and I don't feel like either one of us, you or I, were really shocked by these events.
It's the best job in college football when run properly. If you get an offer, you got to take it. It's very hard to turn it down. I will just stand on that business for as long as I live. Getting the offer to coach at LSU with what you have in terms of resources, with what you have in terms of revenue distribution, what you have in terms of just your backyard riddled with 5-star talents and kids that are never committed to the coach. They're committed to the school. It's 100% a valid reason to go look at where you are and say, I got to go take this job. I get it. It's just the process of how we got here that's really souring on the entire thing. Now, I will just tell you right now, I think Lane Kiffin's going to have success at LSU. I think that his offensive mojo, what he will bring in terms of being able to retain talent, going out, bringing in the right recruits, and still utilizing the transfer portal as much as he does, is going to elevate the stats of LSU. It's going to end up working. But it's a slap in the face in so many ways, because while this is a great job and it's arguably the best job in college football, how we got here, whether you blame the calendar, whether you blame the way that current things are when it comes to the resources and how we got to go about the transfer portal and how we got to go about early signing period, all these things, you're basically telling your team, a team that you just led to its best season in playoff history, in a year that nobody predicted that Ole Miss was going to be in that conversation. Like, we all thought, okay, 9-3. With a backup quarterback from Ferris State, with a running back that did not get any looks at another school, that even with all of this, you're still not good enough to win a national championship. That's what it tells me. That's what it tells me, is that you still do not believe that your team is good enough to win a title, and you never will be. And that hurts. That hurts to hear if you're a player. That hurts to hear if you're a part of that staff. It hurts to hear if you're Keith Carter. And you had to make the call. And I commend Keith Carter and I commend the chancellor to go out and say, you are going to be the Ole Miss head coach and coach us in the college football playoff, or we are going to the college football playoff without you as a head coach. Because the bottom line is that you cannot be the head coach at LSU coaching the Ole Miss Rebels. You just can't do it. It's a conflict of interest at this point. And so you give them credit. You give them the opportunity to feel pretty confident that they're now going to go run the show with Pete Golding at the charge. It's a crappy situation. Hopefully both end up winning from this. I don't know that you will see both come away winning from this. You may see both lose in this process. I still am at the theory of Lane Kiffin needed Ole Miss. But partially, I also think that Ole Miss needed Lane Kiffin. And it was a perfect match. And unfortunately, it had to end.
Yeah, but there's a lot of different places to start with this. And we've talked about it, obviously, so much over the last few weeks. And I forgive me if I'm repeating myself in any of these or reiterating some things. The first thing that came to mind, admittedly, Bear, when all this went down today, we talked about it weeks ago when I went to Oxford. Lane Kiffin's a Scorpion, right? I mean, let's just reiterate that point. Like, he is who he is. I'm not going to go on record and say as far as like I think he's a just straight up bad person or like I think that he I'm not going to go that far. I don't know him personally. We know what's on the internet. We know what people say about him, whatever. I'm not going to sit here and say he is a bad human being, but we know who he is and we know his nature. We know that I said it weeks ago that it would be the most Lane Kiffin thing ever for him to leave and to take that job. And it was going to come down to what did Lane Kiffin really want? See, I think that's the thing too. And that's the thing maybe irking people and rubbing people the wrong way. Lane, this thing was always about you. This was not about anybody else. This wasn't about doing right by Ole Miss. This wasn't doing right by LSU. This wasn't doing right by Florida. This was about doing right by you, period. Point blank, end of discussion. Right, wrong, or indifferent, right? And with a decision like this, I can understand being selfish, but let's just get that point out there. But it was always going to come down to, what do you care about most? What do you care about most? What do you believe in? What do you value? Do you want your name on the stadium? Do you want a statue? Does family matter more than anything? Or do you want to pursue winning a national championship? And I think that is why you saw him pick LSU at the end of the day. It's the unfortunate point, Bear, that you made the point. There are haves and have-nots in college football. It just is the bottom line. And I don't say this with any disrespect to Ole Miss at all. We love the Ole Miss folks. But LSU's a have and Ole Miss is a have-not when it comes from the standpoint of competing for national championships. Why else does Lane Kiffin leave Ole Miss, a team going to the playoff, very well could go win it all this year or at least make it to the Natty? Why does he leave that situation so quickly and so swiftly for an LSU? I think there was only one reason, because apparently it wasn't about money from what he was told. I know he's the highest paid coach in college football now. I still don't think that was the deciding factor. I think it came down to he wants to try his hand at winning a national title. I wish he'd have been a little bit more genuine from the standpoint of like, just tell the people why you're really going, man. Like, stop deflecting with this, using religion as a crutch. And I've been deep in prayer and what would my dad want me to do? Like, all right, brother, we get it. Like, we get it. But like, tell me why you're really going. Like, there's the haves, there's the have-nots. Unfortunately, too, the only way that a have-not like Ole Miss can become a have is if a guy like Lane Kiffin one of these days says, you know what? I'm going to stick with the mission here. I believe in what we're building. I'm going to turn down the big bad bully. I'm going to turn down this other opportunity. Despite the fact that on paper it might be better, I'm going to turn Ole Miss into something that it hasn't been. But unfortunately, we see yet again, as is in college football, Bear, the rich get richer. And listen, I want to say this too, because I've been speaking a lot on social media, especially from the Ole Miss vantage point of things, because I really feel bad for the players. That's what really irks me. That's what sucks about all this. I'm pulling for Ole Miss in the playoff. I hope they go win the whole damn thing. I think it'd be an awesome story, again, just for those players alone, and I'll get in the Golding thing in a second, but for those players, I would love to see them make a run. That would be so special, so cool. I think it'd be cool for them to show, hey, this team was so much more than one guy. This team was not just Lane Kiffin. This team was a collection of individuals that have come together to fight for the glory that is Ole Miss, to fight for Hotty Toddy. And they're the ones that went out there. We talk about the playoff. Ole Miss should 1,000% be in the playoff because the players are the ones went out there and went 11-1. Yeah, Lane Kiffin's a great coach. Charlie Weiss can call plays, but like, the players went out there and went 11-1. Don't take away the opportunity from the players who have earned every right to compete in the college football playoff. But that being said, I mean, it just, from the I've been speaking a lot from the Ole Miss vantage point, where I think a lot of LSU folks think I've got some gripe against Kiffin or that I'm upset about this. Guys, here's the bottom line. LSU hit a grand slam.
Yep.
Because he's going to win. I mean, he's going to win. I don't think it's a matter of if, it's a matter of when LSU is back in the spotlight, in the college football playoff, in the SEC title, in a national championship game. You can love the guy. You can hate the guy. You can say the way he did this thing was dirty. You can blame the calendar. You can nitpick all these different things. And that's all we're seeing right now on the timeline. But like, I want to talk about the fit at LSU because the fit's perfect.
Perfect.
The fit is perfect. And I hope that he keeps Blake Baker around at DC. I know that Blake Baker is going to be given the opportunity to stay. Does Blake Baker want to go take a head coaching job? There's a lot of different factors there, obviously. But, like, if he can keep Blake Baker intact, the offensive side of the ball, I think you're set. And LSU is going to get back to playing electric, elite offense, explosive offense. That place is a place you and I both know it recruits itself. You're going to have no problems getting guys in from the portal, the high school ranks. You got all the money in the world you could ever ask for. You got a great fan base. You pack out over 100,000 in your stadium on a weekly basis. You have the history. You have the tradition. You are a have of college football. And you got a guy in Lane Kiffin that while he's never won anything, he will be of significance. Now, I'm talking conference titles, national titles. He's going to be put in the best possible position ever in his career to go win at the highest level.
The thing that you
in
are
a cycle, I don't have to cut you off, but in a cycle where a lot of guys would have been a roll of the dice. How many sure things are there? None, essentially none.
Sure.
He's as sure a thing as it gets when it comes to winning at the highest level. So I want to make it very clear. I'm pumped to see Lane Kiffin in Baton Rouge. I'm torn on it because I see both sides and I feel for the Ole Miss folks who've treated me so well. But, I got a lot of LSU buddies too that have treated me really well. And I'm happy for them and I'm excited for them. And I can't wait to go to a game at Death Valley and watch this LSU team finally get back to where they are supposed to be, which is the top of the SEC, the top of college football. This is an extremely proud program. I just hope Ole Miss doesn't crumble on his way out. And I think they've done a good job trying to keep that thing together. But from the LSU perspective solely, and here's the deal. Here's the kicker, Cole. Because everybody's attacking Lane Kiffin and taking the personal shots, and I get it. He's opened the door to it. I totally understand it. But there are two parties specifically who should not give a damn. That is LSU and that is Lane Kiffin, because y'all both got what y'all wanted.
Yep.
And if this thing goes the way you want it to go, guess what? You're both going to be better off. It's going to be a win-win for both parties. So to hell with everybody else. And I'm excited to see it play out. I think it was a great hire, obviously. Remove all the other stuff. Remove all the emotion. LSU and maybe even Lane Kiffin down the road, if the way things work out the way they both want it, they're the biggest winners in all this, and it's not going to matter. It ain't going to mean a hill of beans how Ole Miss people feel or how national people feel, how you feel, how I feel. As long as they're good with it, to hell with all the outside noise is. LSU won big time. And just call it for what it is. They dropped their nuts. LSU dropped their nuts on everybody because they weren't even in this conversation like 2.5 weeks ago. And they came out of nowhere and got their guy. I mean, sometimes you swing and miss in a coaching carousel. Brother, they swung and they hit that thing out of the park. So I give LSU a lot of credit. When it looked so much in disarray with Jeff Landry and the BK buyout, I give them a lot of credit for the alignment side of things, for pulling this thing together, for getting the right deal in place, for staying persistent, and eventually landing their guy. Now, we'll see what happens, but I'll be really surprised if it's not a really successful tenure. And if he's hoisting hardware, it will not shock me at all.
Let me ask you out of curiosity. How many coaches can you actually say have won something of significance in college football? Two.
That's a very good point.
You can say two.
What, Dabo Swinney and Kirby Smart? I mean, Ryan Day as well.
Ryan Day, my apologies. Three.
Yeah, Ryan Day as well.
Right now, those are the only thing you could say. How many can you say have been to the national championship? 5, 6. Kalen DeBoer, and he didn't do it at Alabama. You could say that Sharon Moore did it as an assistant coach. You could say Sonny Dykes. I mean, like, regardless of how you want to phrase it, Lane Kiffin has proven over the last 6 years at Ole Miss that he is one of the premier coaches in college football. And LSU demands a premier coach. Bottom line. So use whatever logic that you want about how he is X, Y, and Z, hasn't won anything, hasn't done anything. Guys, he is going to go down in history at a program that had been kind of a bottom dweller in the SEC for most of its tenure as the all-time winningest coach in winning percentage, 3 straight 10-win campaigns, 4 total during his tenure at Ole Miss. The first 11-win regular season, the first 11-win season, and the first college football playoff appearance. Lane did all that. So it's a great fit. And you had to make the hire if you were LSU. Because if you know what the expectations are. Now, Lane Kiffin also has to realize what the expectations are when you touch down in Baton Rouge. It's completely different than what you had in Oxford. With the job that comes and the pedigree of having this premier location at your standpoint, there comes different expectations. 9-3 is not going to cut it every single year. It isn't. Brian Kelly went 9-3 2 years in a row, and guess what? He was fired 2 years later.
Yeah, not 9-3 gets you fired at LSU.
10-2 is good enough for you to be able to make it to the college football playoff. It's not good enough to win you a national title. You are going to have fans in your comment section that will say, when you decide to troll and have juice in the photo with Mike the Tiger, what in the actual hell are you doing? We just won by 7 points to Florida. Get your head out of your ass and figure it out. They're going to have that. And Lane has to be okay with that. And Lane has to be okay with all these other little tidbits that go into it. That's what it is. But it was the right move by LSU to go after Lane Kiffin. They didn't have a secondary plan that was going to be a slam dunk. Kenny Dillingham is as much as a risk as Lane Kiffin is a risk. But the difference is that Lane Kiffin's been doing it longer, and Lane Kiffin at a school has shown you consistently, I can get 10 plus wins. That's where we are. Now, do I believe he deserved to get paid $14 million? No, I don't. But the bottom line, Chris, is that this is the market that we live in. I have this conversation when we talk about the NFL all the time about quarterbacks getting paid. Are we supposed to be mad that Dak Prescott got offered $46 million annually when he's probably only worth $30 million? No, that's what the market dictated. The market said that Lane Kiffin was going to be the highest paid coach in college football. He was going to take the money where he went. LSU gets themselves a coach that they believe can win a national title, and he believes is the best fit for him to win a national title. And hopefully you end up seeing the exact same thing happen at Ole Miss. They keep the momentum. They put themselves in a good position to where they continuously can strike, and they will be right back in the college football playoff conversation afterwards.